I am showing you right now just the home screen of Photopea, and you see the different options you have. You can start a new project, so starting something from scratch. You can open a picture from a computer, which is what we're going to do. Um, and then there's these other two options that we're never going to use. At the bottom here, it shows you what type of files you can open using Photopea. Great thing is you can open Photoshop files in Photopea. So you can be working in Photopea, save your Photoshop file, that's a PSD file, and then open it in Photopea and work with it there. And vice versa. So when you're in Photopea, if you want to save your file as a .psd file so you can open it in Photoshop, you can. For us though, we're going to go to open from computer. So I'm going to click there. And I am going to navigate now to my Photoshop tutorials folder. So we all downloaded the Photoshop tutorials folder. Hopefully you remember where you saved it. For most of us here, it was the H drive. For those of you at home, it was wherever you chose to save it. So I go to the Photoshop tutorials folder and I open up fruits and veggies. And I'm going to start by opening up the pineapple. All right, so you'll see a pineapple here, and because it's our first time using it, I'm going to explain a little bit the tools that are on the left, as well as your menu at the top here, okay? And this critical area down here is called your layers. That's very important when it comes to Photoshop or Photopea. So this all works off layers, guys. So as I continuously place images into Photopea, it's going to put the images on top of each other as layers. Like the same thing as if you were gluing something onto a piece of paper, different images on a piece of paper, and you were gluing them on top of each other. It's going to place images on top of each other in layers. All right? So that's an important thing to note. One thing I want to get done right off the bat is show you that I can press this little nav button and I can very nicely now zoom in and out, although that's not the only way to zoom in and out. You should be able to use your scroll wheel if you're if you're using a mouse. You should be able to use your scroll wheel. But this is another way that you can do it. If you're on a trackpad, just, guys, don't worry, I'm going to answer all your questions after. You just need to watch right now. You honestly just need to watch, okay? I can just use my trackpad using my two fingers as well to kind of just zoom in and out, okay? So the typical way that you would zoom in and out on a touchscreen, just on your trackpad. And then the nice thing with this navigator window, I can like grab that red rectangle or box and slide it up and down if I need to move to different sections of my image. All right? So I'm going to go back down to, I think the default is to be at 12. Actually, let's go 13. All right? And notice again here, I only have this picture inserted, and there's a little eyeball on the side here. If I click on that eyeball, my picture disappears, okay? And then I click it back, and my picture comes in view again. So you can turn off and on. That's a powerful feature that we'll use all the time. Turning on and off that little, each of your layers, okay? It's not that you're like deleting the layer, you're just not viewing it, all right? So that's important. Here's the tools that we're going to be using constantly on the left. We've got your move tool. We've got these are your two select tools. So if I want to select items, I can use the rectangle or ellipse select. I'll show you what that means. So if I did the rectangle select, okay, watch this. Okay, hold on a sec. So if I select something and then I press delete on my keyboard, it gets rid of what I selected. All right? Control Z, guys, this is very powerful. Control Z on your keyboard is undo. You're going to use that all the time. On a Mac, it's Command Z. I'm not sure what it is on a Chromebook, to be honest. I think it's still the same thing, Control Z. I think it's Control Z. So I'm going to hit Command Z and undo what I did. Now, you'll see that this selection is still there. And you're like, oh, I don't want to see that box there. So you can go to select and then go to deselect. Okay? But there's a quicker way on your keyboard to do that. So if I redo that selection, if I press Control D, or on a Mac, Command D, it deselects. So that makes sense, right? Control D would deselect. Or you can go to the select menu and deselect that way. All right? But clearly, so my goal here, everyone, is to cut away this white background. That's my goal. Clearly, do you think this tool, the rectangle select tool, is going to be a good enough tool to delete my background?
No.
No chance, right? No chance. So I'm going to undo. What happened there? I'm not sure why my undo didn't work there. Okay, that's okay. All right, so clearly that's not going to work. Do you think that the ellipse select tool will work? By the way, if you want to click, if you just click once, it only clicks on the rectangle, but by clicking and holding, I can see the other select tools that are there by clicking and holding.
You can also right-click it.
You can right-click it, yeah. Okay, so that's not going to work. Now let's look at the next menu. There's something called a lasso select tool. Let's see what that's all about. So I'm going to click on that. The lasso select tool just basically allows me to hand draw my selection. Okay, do you think that's going to be good enough to get rid of my white background? To hand draw my selection? I'd say no, right? So I'm going to just Command undo and then Command D to deselect. So that's not going to work, although that could work in some instances. It's not going to work here. Let's see what else we got. We got the polygonal lasso select tool. Let's see what that's all about. This allows me to draw straight lines. So it doesn't have to be a rectangle. I can draw straight lines and then close my shape by double clicking where my shape started. Okay, let me show you that again. I can draw lines to choose what I want to select. And then I hover over my starting point and I double click and it will close my shape for me. Is this going to be good enough of a tool to use to get rid of my white background? No, no chance, no chance. So let's undo. Let's keep going. Let's see this one. The magnetic lasso tool. This one's good, but it's still not going to be good enough for this, although it's pretty good. The magnetic lasso tool picks up on different pixels on your picture, different pixel colors, and is able to intelligently choose. So I'm going to click and then just drag. I'm just dragging my mouse. I clicked once, I let go, and I'm just dragging my mouse. And look how it doesn't do a great job. And I'm just moving my mouse around this shape. You can see that it doesn't work great here in this situation. But normally, there are instances where this works really well. Okay? But just once again, not good enough for this situation. But the magnetic lasso tool is one that we're going to use often. Okay? Okay, so none of those are going to be good for me to get my white background out. Okay, so let's go in here. Object selection tool. I don't know. Let's see what this will do. That's not going to work. What about my quick selection tool? Let's see that one. No. How about my magic wand? Okay, this is the one. This is the one. Click on the magic wand. Photoshop also has a magic wand tool. Nathan, you really want to watch this, okay? Okay, make sure you're watching. First, let me deselect what's there. I have my magic wand tool, and look how easy it is. I literally just have to click, and the magic wand tool does a really good job. Look at how, if you can see my selection there on your screen, look at how it went nicely around my pineapple, right? By the way, you'll need to increase, I know from experience, so I don't know what the tolerance is by default. Let's say the tolerance is 10. Here, let's start this over again. With a tolerance of 10, everybody, look at this. Did it really go close enough to my pineapple leaves to get rid of all the white? No. No. Look, it missed a whole bunch of sections. So I'm going to undo, change my tolerance to, and you would play around with this tolerance until you get it right. I've already played around with it, so I know that a tolerance of 90 gets me what I'm looking for. So now when I hit the magic wand tool and I click, it gets a lot closer and gets rid of a lot more of the white. Why did it only select half of this image? Look at where it kind of, how come it only selected half? Where's the other half? Here. It's because the pineapple is reaching the ends of the image of our space here. So what you do in that case is you hold down Shift. You hold down Shift, and holding down Shift allows you to make multiple selections. So now I can click on this half in the white space, and look at that. Now I have everything that I want selected. Okay, I have everything that I want selected. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. Okay, I'm not going to worry about getting it perfect right now as I'm showing you because I just want to show you the tool. So now, if I hit the delete button, not bad. It got rid of a lot of what I needed to get rid of. Oh, and what I didn't show you actually. Here, let's start from scratch. I put a feather of 2. What do you think a feather of 2 means? 2 pixels. What do you think that would mean? Yeah, Michael?
Outline.
Yeah, it's the outline. It's how hard and how harsh the outline is. A feather means that it kind of blends in where you cut it out. There's like a nice blending where it doesn't look so choppy like you use scissors to cut something out. It like blends really nicely. So the bigger the feather, like watch, I'll do like a feather of like, I don't know, 10. So something huge and ridiculous. Watch. Now when I hit, look at what it did when I used my magic wand. Now when I hit delete, look at that. That doesn't look right. So I found that I like the feather of 2, maybe even a feather of 1. Okay, will work pretty well. So it gets nice and close to your pineapple leaves there. Hit Shift, click there, hit delete. There you go. Okay, so we now, is it perfect? No, but it's pretty good. And I do notice that there are some white spaces here that I don't like. No problem. All right. You can go back and clean this up a little. So I can use these different tools to select and delete again. But for this, I think I'm just going to use the eraser tool right there. And look at how big my eraser is right now. It's too big. So up here is my control of how big the eraser can be. So if I click this down arrow, I can change the size. All right, so now look how small it is. I can probably go a little bit bigger. No, too big. So you're playing around with it until you're I'm going to go to 3. Okay, I think that's perfect. So now I can come here and I can click and hold. Not sure if that's actually doing anything. Oh, it's because sorry, you have to deselect first. It's because my pineapple is selected. So Command D or Control D to deselect. Now I can go through and I'm holding down my trackpad to erase any extra white stuff that I don't want. All right, so there, there. And so you would go through your image here and you'd make sure that, you know, it looks as good as it can. This isn't a very high resolution image, I'm not going to lie. It's not the greatest image. But that's okay. This is just to kind of get us used to it. So the rest of it looks pretty decent. I don't see any other glaring white spots. So awesome. So at any time, if you want to exit out of the tool you're using, like I'm using the eraser tool, if I hit escape, or actually if I hit just like the move tool there, it'll just kind of come out of that erase tool. Not that you really have to. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Okay. All right. So I have my pineapple, which is great. I got rid of the white background, but now I'm going to add in I'm going to make a face. I'm going to add in some eyeballs. I'm going to add in a smiley mouth, and I'm going to use my other fruits and veggies to do that. All right. So this is all just to kind of get you playing around with the program. So what I'm going to do now is go to File, and I'm not going to go to Open. You have to understand something here. There's a difference between open and place. Open means open a new file. I don't want to open a new file. I want to open and place my image on this file. So you go to Open and Place. And I'm going to choose the grapes. I'm going to make my eyeballs the grapes. Okay, and you're like, oh, whoa, what's going on here? I've got an image on top of my pineapple. Yes, you do. And I told you that now I have another layer added here on the right because I put another image on top. And watch this, guys. Watch. If I click and drag my grapes layer, I can drag it underneath my background layer, and it goes underneath my pineapple. Or I can drag it above, and it goes back above. I want it above because I want my eyeballs to be on the pineapple. Now, when you open and place an image, look at this. There's a little lock button down there. That means that you can't edit this file just yet. You always have to remember to do this. This is such a common problem where students forget. Every time you insert an image, right-click, rasterize. You have to do that every time you insert an image. Now that little lock button goes away, and I can now edit that file. So I'm going to take this grape right here. I'm going to cut that out, and I'm going to place it on my pineapple. All right, so let's cut it out. Now, let's think of what the best tool would be to cut it out. I think the magnetic lasso tool will work. Let's try it. Let's zoom in so I can really see that grape. Okay. And all I'm going to do now using the magnetic lasso tool, let's see how well it picks up on this shape. I'm going to click once and then drag my mouse around the shape. I'm just dragging it around, and it's actually picking up on the different color between the light green and the dark green. It's not always perfect. Okay, if you need to go back, you can still go back. All I did was I moved my hand back around my path. So what you do in that case, see how it's like, look what it's doing. Look, see that? That's no good. So I go back, I just move my mouse back to my other, it's called a node. And now I'm going to force the magnetic lasso tool. I'm going to click and force it to follow the path I want it to follow until it can pick up where I want it to pick up. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. Okay? And that's okay. You may need to spend some time to perfect it. But now what I'm going to do to close this off is double click where I started. Okay? And that should get in Photoshop, it's called the marching ants. It looks like little ants. It's just like a little dashed line that goes around. Here's what I don't like what I did. I put a feather of 0. I don't like that. So I'm actually going to undo everything that I did. I'm going to put a feather of 1 and see how that turns out. Using the magnetic lasso tool, click, drag it around, hope that it picks up on the different colored pixels. Drag it, drag it, drag it. Oh, what happened there? Force it to follow the path. I'm clicking right now as I'm going. I'm forcing it to follow the path I want it to. Double click to finish it off. It's not perfect, but it's not bad either. This takes practice, everybody. You're going to have to practice this a few times, more than a few times to get good at it. Now, I will say that Photoshop probably does a better job of this. The exact same tool exists in Photoshop, and I think their coding is probably just better, where it can pick up a little bit better on the color differences. But Photopea does a good enough job as well. So here we go. I've got my grape. It's going to be my eyeball. But now, if I hit delete, everybody, what do you think is going to happen when I hit delete? Oh, it's going to get
delete what you selected.
Yeah, it's deleting what I don't want it to delete. So I'm going to undo, Command Z or Control Z. And I'm going to go up to select. And I'm going to say select the inverse of what I selected. The inverse means the opposite space. So I click on inverse. Now when I hit delete, watch this. It keeps what I selected and deletes everything else. All right? Okay, so I've got my eyeball, but I need to obviously do some stuff with this. I need to move it into position. I need to resize it. And to do that, I use the move tool. Okay, select. Now, those of you who are just doing this for the first time, you will not be checked off in transform controls. You have to be checked off here. If you click on the move tool, click on transform controls. Now I can pick that up, move it into position, and I clicked on it after I moved it into position. I'm going to resize it. So I'm going to grab it from this corner right here, click and hold. But look what happens when I resize it. Look, everybody, I'm warping it. Do I really want to warp it? No. Maybe you do, but maybe you don't. But let's say I don't. Let's say I didn't want to warp the shape. What you do is you click, now hold shift, and it keeps the proportions. I can't warp it now. It keeps the proportions it had when I click and then hold shift. Okay, unclick, let go of shift. I'd say that's a pretty good sized eyeball. Maybe I'll go a little bit bigger. Okay, there you go. Now, clearly I need 2 eyes. I need 2. Okay, no problem. Watch this. Go to your layer. Go to your layer right here, grapes. Right click it and go to duplicate layer. Now look, I have 2 grape layers. They're just sitting on top of each other, so I don't see them as 2, but there's 2 grapes. So watch this. Click, hold, and drag this grape off of the other and put it into position. But this eyeball is going like down to the left. I want this eyeball to also go down to the left. Watch what you do. Very easy as well. You go to Edit, Transform, and you do something called Flip. I think it's going to be Flip horizontally. Let's try that. Let's try Flip horizontally. Yeah, that worked. So you don't even have to rotate it. You can flip it horizontally to look just like the other one. Okay, and so that was in the Edit menu, Transform, and then Flip horizontal. All right, so now I'm happy with my 2 eyes there. I'm going to hit Command D to deselect. Okay. And I now have my 2 eyeballs put into place. Now, I'm going to use as well, I'm going to put in more grapes, different colored grapes to be my pupil. Okay? And then I'll put in a banana for the mouth. So let's work on getting the pupil in. So let's go to File, Open in Place. And instead of grapes plural, I'm going to click on grape singular because that's a different image. Okay. Why is this grape underneath my other two green grapes? What's going on? Yeah, sorry.
Because you put it under that.
Yeah, look at my layer. It's underneath those layers. So I'm just going to grab it and drag it on top. So it's on the top. And look, there's a little lock. I need to right click, rasterize. Okay, I'm going to cut out this little red grape there, or purple grape, whatever. It's a red grape. I'm going to cut that out. What do you think is the best tool for this, everyone? Okay, let's try it. I don't know. Let's see how that works. Let's try the magnetic lasso tool. You probably want to zoom in, click, and then just drag around the shape. I don't know how well this is really picking it up. It's not great. Double click to close it off. I don't know. You can use that if you want. I'm gonna, maybe tomorrow, because we're gonna run out of time. Tomorrow I'll show you a different tool called the pen tool that I can use as well, which I really like. Monday. I'll show you Monday. There's a pen tool that I like. I'll show you guys that on Monday. There's only 10 minutes left, so I want to get done. Okay, so let's say that that's good enough right now. I can always go around after with my eraser and clean up anything that looks sloppy. So let's see, right? So let's go, if I hit delete, it's going to delete the grape. I don't want that. So you want to go to Select, Inverse. Now hit delete, and it gets rid of everything else. And I'm going to move this. So I press the Move tool. Move this over. Is there anything I can clean up here? I just want to be able to see it clearly. I can probably clean it up a little bit with the eraser, but I'm going to leave it as is right now. Okay? I'm going to make it smaller. So click, hold shift, and make that pupil smaller. It's so pixelated, right? These images are not very high quality. Okay, but that's okay. If we zoom out, it doesn't look that bad, right? If we zoom out, it doesn't look that bad. Okay, so there it is. There's my pupil. Now, one thing that I don't like, do I want this shiny part of the grape to be on the outside, or do I want it to be on the inside?
I think it's the inside.
I think it'll look better on the inside. That's just me being picky. But I'm going to click on that, make sure I'm in the layer for the grape. You can only edit the layer that you're in. Go to Edit, Transform, and again, let's flip vertically this time, I think. Is it vertically? Let's try it. No, it is horizontally. So Edit, Transform, flip horizontal, and there you go. I got the little shiny part on the inside there. Now that I'm happy with that grape, I'm going to duplicate the layer. Right click on my layer here and drag and move your eyeball, your pupil out. Does it make sense though now that this shiny part is on the outside again? No, I probably want to flip it to the inside as well. So again, Edit, Transform, flip horizontal, and it goes to the inside. If I zoom out, this will look a lot nicer. It just looks really ugly right now because it's so pixelated. Okay, here it is. Here's what we got so far. Okay, last thing I'm going to do with you is throw in the banana as a mouth. And then, of course, I mean, you could do anything you want with the nose and put any shape that you want there. But last thing I'll do here is the banana, and then we will stop. Okay, so I want to place a banana image here. So I'm going to go to File, Open, and Place. Bananas. All right. Very nice. I've got a nice contrasting background, so it's easy to pick up on the color differences. Remember, first thing, right-click, rasterize. Okay, which banana do we like? I'd say the top one. Okay, so we could use anything here. We can use the magnetic lasso tool. Let me see something. What if I use the magic wand? I'm curious. The magic wand nicely picks up on these two. Okay, so if I hit delete, I have two bananas. Not a problem. Not a problem. I can get rid of the other one. Any ideas on how I can get rid of the other one easily? Deselect first. So Command D, deselect. What do you think I can do to this banana at the bottom? Yep. Yeah, let's just erase it. I'm just gonna, because that's easy to erase. So I'm gonna, now my eraser, look how small my eraser brush is. Way too small. Make it bigger. There you go. And notice how it's only erasing this banana and not what's underneath. Why is it doing that? Yeah, look at the layer I'm clicked on. I'm clicked on the bananas layer. So it's only going to erase what's on that layer, which is nice, right? That's a nice tool. So now I hit the move button and I can grab the banana and move it down. It's too big right now, so I'm going to grab a corner, click, hold shift, make it smaller, move it into place. All right. There you have it. Oh, and look at this. I don't like that. Go back into the banana layer. Look what happened when I clicked away. Look at this. This is something I find Photoshop doesn't do, but Photopea does. Look at the rectangle that's left behind. I don't like that. Click on your banana layer. What can you do? Erase. Just careful, don't use too big of a brush where it's going to get rid of your banana. Okay, there you go. Hold and just erase all of that. I don't know why it leaves that behind. In Photoshop, it does not do that. Little things that make Photoshop stand out. But it's fixable. It's not the end of the world. Hit the move button and drag it back down. Okay, so that's the first tutorial. On Monday or over the weekend, what I'd like you to do is watch. So I'm going to post this video. I'm going to stop recording now.